Thank you for being with us. This is the Go Show, celebrating all things outdoors in this beautiful outdoor playground of a state that we live in. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/The Go Show with Mike Russell, and on Instagram at The Go Show with Mike Russell, The Go Show with Mike Russell as well on YouTube. That's right, because we are doing a video a week. And last week we hung out with the chairman of the Arizona Game and Fish Commission talking about trail cam bans. And this week, our good friend of the show for 7-8 years now, Steve Clark of Arizona Elk Society. Steve, we appreciate you being here. Why is Arizona Elk Society so important? We have, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and we have an Elk Society. Why are those different, and why is it important to stick with AES?
The main reason obviously is all the money we raise stays in the state of Arizona. We wanted to have more input, personal input, with the Game and Fish Commission and the Game and Fish on elk management throughout the state. And many times with the big organizations, you don't have a voice of within the state. You're a fundraiser, you're a volunteer, you're things like that. And we wanted to have input in. We wanted to have our own contracts we have contracts with the U.S. Forest Service to do work out in the woods for habitat. All kinds of different things. So it just is a more personal way for us to be involved in elk management.
Okay, and talk about the elk management, because most people, as we've discussed before, and this is for the new guard really on YouTube and for the show alike, this isn't a group of people that just want to go out and shoot elk. This is about conservation. This is on the ground stuff here in Arizona. What are the actual functions of Elk Society?
Our biggest claim to fame, obviously, is the wildlife habitat. So the Arizona Elk Society is built around the idea of habitat improvement for elk, obviously, and it benefits all wildlife, but we are boots on the ground. We want to go out and actually do the work. The Forest Service cut their budget. Game and Fish doesn't do the work out in the forest. The Forest Service does that kind of work. So what we've done is create contracts with the U.S. Forest Service and Game and Fish to go out and do habitat work. Obviously, habitat is where the animals live, and the better habitat we can create helps the herds that are there now, and in some cases will allow the Forest Service to maybe let more elk be grown, so we can have more elk on the ground. Right now there's a lot of restrictions in a lot of forests where they're trying to reduce the number of tags because there's too many elk, or actually increase the number of tags because there's too many elk for the habitat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, so when Arizona Elk Society does that, this isn't, you aren't a government agency. You aren't a branch of Game and Fish. This is your organization working with both of those to essentially, let's be honest, fill in the gaps where government isn't doing their gig. You are the ones that see what needs to happen, and then you move forward with working with them to make it happen.
Right. We create projects around the habitat, and we do it with volunteers so we can get a lot of work done in a short period of time.
Now, let's talk about those volunteers, because volunteering for Arizona Elk Society is not it's not a grind. Let me put it that way. When you do volunteer with Arizona Elk Society, this is something that you guys take very seriously. It is your bread and butter. It is essentially your organization. It's the backbone of your organization, or your volunteers. You take pretty dang good care of your volunteers.
We depend on our volunteers, and we also learned a long time ago, the better we treat them, the better we feed them at projects, the more they come and the more they love what they do. And it's all about making sure that they're involved in the whole process, not just, hey, come out of work and go away. We try to keep them involved, and this is all pre-COVID, obviously. We had projects of 180 people, 180 volunteers showed up, and you can get an immense amount of work done, with 180 volunteers. It's a little bit of logistical nightmare, but it's easy to do. And then we feed them, all the meals are taken care of, and it's, we feed very well. So you will not go hungry at one of our projects, and you will not wish you had better food, I guarantee you.
And I can attest to that, because I've been there and done that. And you have an entire cooking staff. It's not just that staff is all volunteered as well, and they have an entire basically outdoor kitchens where they have the ability to feed over 100 people at a time. It is an impressive project.
Yeah, it's fun. We do have a really dedicated crew of cooks that take care of everything out in the woods. We've got the equipment to take care to do the job right, and that's the important part. And we partner with a lot of other groups and a lot of other agencies at the same time to find those volunteers, to find people to help, and make sure that we can get this work done.
So let me stop you there. Now, how do people get involved with all of this? How do people sign up? Is there a waiting list? You're talking about hundreds of people at one event. I mean, how many volunteers do you have, and how many more can you handle? And how do we become part of the stuff you can handle?
Currently we have probably 1,000 volunteers that we talk to on a regular basis. Out of those, obviously not everybody comes to a habitat project. We do all kinds of other things too, fundraising and banquets and all kinds of different things, youth events. But it just, the easiest way is go to the website and sign up as a volunteer. That's the easiest way. Then you'll be put on the communication for all the volunteers. You can always come through Facebook and things like that. We've got Facebook sites for the main Elk Society. We have Facebook sites for our Heroes Rising program, veteran program. We have a Facebook site for Water for Wildlife. So we have a lot of different avenues to let us know that you're interested in volunteering.
Okay, so let's talk about COVID, because COVID is obviously a big thing. How has that impacted Arizona Elk Society? We're meeting with Steve Clark. He's the executive director of Arizona Elk Society, and obviously it's changed everything. You are a very fundraising heavy organization, and you have an amazing banquet once a year. How has the last year been for you guys?
We've had to cancel all of our fundraising banquets. We did some online things and recouped a lot of the money. We have a lot of dedicated volunteers and donors that donated money to keep us afloat and keep it going. And we're still, some of the things we work off of grants on a lot of the things we do, so we had that still going. The restrictions, though, in the forest was basically we couldn't have teams of more than 10 people. We couldn't feed them. They have to bring their own lunch. They got to bring their own water. It really sucked.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And the Coconino was the worst, the most restrictive, and we weren't allowed to even go out in there and work. They stopped all volunteer project in the Coconino forest for last year. We're working with them again this year to draw up our own plan and have them accept it so we can start working again in the Coconino.
Man, okay, so not only you talk about small businesses, people in their jobs, kids in school, and all that. You see the most highlighted fallouts from COVID-19 and the restrictions from there within. Now we're talking about habitat. We're talking about
right.
We're talking about wildlife. Not a lot of people are thinking about that.
Yeah, fortunately, we were allowed to keep our Water for Wildlife program going. Because that's the ultimate social distancing. Grab a trailer and just go head out into the woods, only person for miles around.
Right.
Get to see some amazing stuff. But, so we were able to keep some of the programs going. All the youth programs we had to cancel. We're trying to put a plan together this year to do smaller youth camps because the kids want to come. We're getting calls daily from the volunteers, from the kids, saying, hey, we need to get out of the house. We want to go volunteer. Find us something now. We're going crazy. So we're putting together small micro projects and small micro youth camps.
And that's a big thing Arizona Elk Society does as well. And I know you partner with Game and Fish. You partner with other organizations in the Valley as well. But you guys have some pretty incredible youth camps. That's a big push for Arizona Elk Society.
We do, and we're very proud of those youth camps. We have them all the way from inner city camps for kids that have never really been in the outdoors, all the way to we take them into the outdoors for a weekend and teach them all kinds of things, outdoor skills, including hunting and fishing, all kinds of different things, all kinds of different avenues. And then we try to graduate them into mentored hunting camps. And that's part of the partnership with Game and Fish through what's called the Hog, and you're involved in that too. It's a great tie-in to bring all the groups together, so that we're all working on the same thing.
All right, so Arizona Elk Society, you're not just a bunch of people running out there shooting elk, figuring out how to shoot elk. You are a conservation organization that does Water for Wildlife does a lot of youth camps, and I've been in that hog environment with you, which is the entire group of all of the nonprofits and the organizations, the conservation organizations, and they do. And I'm going to bear Steve for a second here. A lot of them look to Steve for the leadership and the guidance that comes from him and Arizona Elk Society, because you guys have got it together. You're truly a champion of Arizona conservation. When we come back, what I want to do is talk to you about the two organizations that I want to be a bigger part of. That is Heroes Rising Outdoors and Water for Wildlife. More with Steve Clark coming up next right here on The Go Show. And we continue with Steve Clark, the executive director of Arizona Elk Society. We have covered it all. We've covered all the volunteer stuff. Actually, we didn't cover what's coming up next for volunteers. Do you have any big projects that you have for the volunteers? Any really big projects coming up?
So this year, last year was horrendous for Water for Wildlife. That was the thing we focused the most on. We spent the most money on was keeping water out in the field in Region 2 around Flagstaff. We have an agreement with Game and Fish and the Forest Service that allows us to go out and keep troughs full. A lot of all the man-made drinkers, depending on the migrations of the animals and things like that. And we spent a lot of time and a lot of energy on that program. And again, it's done by volunteers. We have volunteers that use their own trucks. We have a cadre of trailers, different sizes for different levels of people's vehicles, but we actually ended up hauling 800,000 gallons of water last year with volunteers, which took over 4,000 hours and
wow.
a lot of expense. We had more attrition on trailers and trucks last year than we've ever had before, but we've never hauled that much water in 1 year. And we're still hauling 2 days ago. Fortunately, yesterday we had a storm and things are starting to pick up a little bit. Hopefully this week we'll get a measurable amount of rain, and snow, so it'll help give our guys a break and let us fix our equipment.
Okay, so let me talk about that. So let's get right into it, because I want to do that. I want to be a part of that. So in my F-150, obviously I'm not pulling a full tank up the mountain. So what do you do? Do you swing by and pick up a trailer and head on up and get it filled? How does that work?
So there's training involved, and there's other things involved. There's a lot of liability issues. So we have to train the people. We have to make sure they know how to tow the trailers, and how to take care of the equipment when they're out in the field. But basically, with a half-ton truck, you sign up, you go through the training. We put you with an experienced water hauler. We'll put a 500-gallon tank behind a half-ton. That's doable with a half-ton. And you'll work with them a few days, and then if you're willing to go out on your own, and you have a GPS and things like that, and communication things so we know where you are if you get lost. But
which is me. I know you're looking right at me when you say that. Yes, I have a tendency to do so. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a big process to it, but we're always looking for dedicated volunteers. We've got a team of about 15, 20 volunteers on a regular haul, some of them daily. And right now it's again, we've never hauled in the winter before. Last year we hauled a little bit in the winter, but never like this. This is just absolutely crazy.
And this is just water. This is water that's just for elk, right? They sign up, the elk sign up, and they take a number and they go get their drink, right? And they move on. Or is this because that's
basically,
they're just filling up the water tank so they know where all the elk are, right?
Right. No, yes, that there are people that use that as an excuse for hauling water. So it's always interesting. they want to learn where all the tanks are, but it's all on Habimap. It's all on Game and Fish's website. Mm-hmm. There's no secrets out there,
right.
So, but yeah, you just, it's a great opportunity. Again, like you're saying it's for elk. We call the animals clients. And so we have a lot of clients out there. We have pictures at our water tanks of birds, bees, bats, bears, lions, coyotes, a lot of pronghorn in the 7 East area that we haul. And so it's not just for elk at this point. We're trying to keep water out there for all the wildlife.
That's great.
And it's amazing. If you get involved in it, it's pretty awesome, because there's times that you'll pull up to a tank, and as you're filling it, the elk will smell it, or the antelope will smell it. They'll come to the fence and watch, waiting for you to leave. We have flocks of birds that come in when we're running the water. The bees have swarmed the guys. It's just crazy now, how the animals just stand around and wait for you.
That's fantastic. Okay, yes, that's definitely something I want to get into. So obviously, I get to Arizona Elk Society site and I sign up. And then, do you have regular trainings, or is it just okay as somebody comes along, we're going to train them up?
It's right now. It's as they come along. We qualify them. Can they do this? How much time do they want to devote to it? Where do they live? If they're in different areas, we'll turn them on to Game and Fish because they have trailers for trained volunteers also. On a limited schedule. We just donated a trailer to Region 1. The Antelope Association just donated 2 trailers to Region 1. So now they're going to have 3,000-gallon trailers. Nice. We're in a situation with Game and Fish that animals could start dying.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. You've got, I was in a meeting and they're talking about low fawn crop, things like that from the lack of water. Because now that it's gone on so long, there's a lack of feed. Without rain, you don't have feed.
Right,
so now the quality of the feed is falling daily. So this storm right now is really a godsend for the feed more than anything else.
You can imagine.
Because it's bad.
All right, Steve Clark, Executive Director of the Arizona Elk Society. I want to get over to move away from water for wildlife and get into something that is absolutely amazing. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it started as Hunts for Heroes, and now it has evolved to Heroes Rising Outdoors. This is something that is an absolutely amazing gig. Tell me all about it.
We started a program in 2015. Game and Fish came out with tag transfer for wounded veterans. They have to qualify for the tag transfer. There is qualifications. Not everybody can do it, but they allowed you as a hunter, if you weren't going to use your tag, you could donate your tag to our program, and we would take out a wounded veteran on a free guided. We supply the food, we supply everything, the volunteers, and again, this is all run by volunteers. So we have all these volunteers that are like, yes, I want to get involved in this program. So we started doing the hunts. I think as of today, we've done about almost 500 different hunts and experiences. We started, after it morphed a little bit from hunting, we had guys coming back and wanting to do other things. Mm-hmm. And so we have agreements now with equine therapy people, and we turn them on to Trout Unlimited for their Project Healing Waters to go fishing. All kinds of different things. And that's when it changed to Heroes Rising Outdoors. We want to use the outdoors to help these veterans that are pretty seriously wounded. These are guys, to qualify, you have to have some issues,
mobility issues mostly, right?
Mobility issues, physical issues, and so these are people that are pretty seriously hurt. And it's what we're doing is offering them the outdoors. Here's the whole outdoors. They're coming back and volunteering now into the camps with our veterans to be there to cook for them. They're coming back and volunteering at all of our projects. We have some that come down to the office and want to work, and they just want to get out of the house and be involved in the outdoors. Huge healing aspect. The outdoors has a power that nothing else in the world has. And so we our motto is kind of healing through hunting. Healing through the outdoors.
And I think that's it. I mean, we've been preaching that for about 7 years. We've been hollering about the medical benefits, the restorative benefits of the outdoors, and just you take it away from just the veterans and the restorative properties of the volunteers. That battery charge, that soul charging that you get when you volunteer and you're outdoors and you're out in this wonderful environment with wonderful people and having a wonderful time and getting to know new people. There's a lot to that. So Heroes Rising Outdoors is definitely something you need to look into and volunteer for. Now, before we jump out of here, I've got to ask, are we going to have a banquet this year? Because I want to go. I missed a banquet. I want a banquet. What's the outlook?
The outlook isn't good. We've actually scheduled a banquet for in July, hoping that this will go away. But every city manager we've talked to from the city and the governor's office has said it's not going to happen until September. If that happens, we will not have a banquet. What we are looking at is finding an open place like the Mesa Convention Center that holds 1,000 people, and they said right now if they were to open it up, it's still closed, but their plan would be to allow 200 people in that whole building. So we're looking at maybe possibly putting together a couple smaller banquets, to be able to move forward and let our people and our supporters know we're still here, we're still working every day, helping the veterans, hauling the water. We're planning micro projects this year, so it's everybody will be notified as soon as we get those okays from the Forest Service.
Okay.
So we can do these things. So we're still here, we're still doing great things, and we're not going anywhere.
Okay, so if we don't get to go to the banquet, in the meantime, we'll just volunteer for a lot of cool stuff and do a lot of cool things. Sound good? Sound fair enough?
That sounds good.
Steve Clark, where can they find the information?
ArizonaElkSociety.org is the main website. You can also, like I said, go to Facebook. We have a special page for our Heroes Rising to show some of the successes and introduce a lot of the veterans. You can contact us through any of those opportunities. Obviously, if they wanted, we have a phone number. It's available on the website. Just give us a call if you have a veteran that that could use some help and might want to go on hunts. We're always looking for qualified veterans to take out.
Okay.
So please call us. Have them call us. And if you're interested in volunteering in any of the programs, just contact us. We'll try to keep you busy.
And they can. Steve Clark, the executive director of Arizona Elk Society. We appreciate you and appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back next week right here on the Go Show.